videos to show you how to make this sweet little jelly bean whale. So this cute little whale is made all in one piece and it's a completely no-sew project. So it works up very quickly. Great for stash busting your yarns because it only takes about 15 meters of the main color. And it's great for last minute gifts and craft markets as well. So I've been using a combination of Hobbii yarns. I've been using the Baby Snuggle. This is the Vivid Blue, Toucan, and this is Mint. And I've got the Hobbii Honey Bunny yarn here on the bottom in the white. You can use them all interchangeably and the project still looks great. In today's example, I'm going to be using the Toucan Sprinkle yarn, and this is the color Blueberry, and then Hobbii Honey Bunny in the white. In addition to my yarn, I also have my crochet hook. So this is an H 5.0 millimeter hook. I've got my 10 millimeter safety eyes. You can go ahead and embroider eyes on if you prefer. I'll link a video down below to show you how to do that. And I have my stitch markers, scissors, sewing needle, and of course a bit of stuffing. So to find a written version of the pattern, you can head over to my Etsy and Ravelry shops, or if you want the free version, it'll be available up on my blog. And I will link everything below for you. And when you're watching the video, if you want to speed it up or slow it down, there's a cog in the upper right corner. So you just hit that and then adjust playback speed. And you can adjust it to your liking. And that's about it. So let's get started. So when we're making our whale, we're going to start from the belly and work our way up to the top, to the spout here. So get the color that you're going to use for the belly. So I'm going to use white, and we want to start by creating a magic ring. Now, if you aren't a fan of magic rings or you find them really tricky with the chenille style yarns, that's totally okay. You can go ahead and chain 2 and then work all of the first round into your second chain from your hook. For round 1, we want to place 6 single crochet stitches into our magic ring. So I like to make my stitches nice and loose for my first round just to help close the ring. And then they get a bit tighter with the subsequent rows. So I've got my 6 stitches. I'm gonna go ahead and close that up. Okay, and don't forget to place a stitch marker here in the last stitch to keep track of your rounds. Okay, on to round 2. So round 2 is going to be an increase round. So we're going to place 2 single crochet stitches or increase in each stitch around. So you're going to go from having 6 stitches up to 12 stitches. Okay, and on to round 3. Round 3 is also an increase round. And this time we're going to go from having 12 stitches up to 18 stitches. And to do that, we're going to place a single crochet in the next stitch and then 2 single crochets or increase in the following stitch. And we will repeat that pattern all the way around, so 6 times in total to get our 18 stitches. So single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch and continue that around. And if I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause the video to get caught up. Okay, on to round 4. For round 4, we will also be increasing, but we're not going to increase uniformly around our circle this time. This time we want to place our increases at the ends of the round, like on either side, so that we can create more of an oblong shape rather than just a circle. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches to start. Just 1 single crochet in each of these first 4. And then for the next, we're going to increase in the next 3 stitches. So that's placing 2 single crochet stitches into each of the next 3 stitches. Okay. Then single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. After those 6 stitches, you want to place 2 single crochet stitches or increase in each of the next 3 stitches. So again, we're condensing our increases into the end, either side of the round, just to change the shape a little bit. Okay, and then with 2 stitches left, you want to single crochet in each of those next 2 stitches. So we've gone from having 18 stitches up to 24 stitches. Oh, I almost forgot. In this last pull through here, you want to go ahead and grab your main color, because we want to use the main color for our next round. So the last pull through of that last stitch, go ahead and grab the color you want to use for the body. So for me, it's the Toucan Sprinkle in Blueberry. You can go ahead and cut this yarn. I usually wait till the end of this round before I tie it off though. Oh, and a stitch marker. Okay, so on to round 5. In round 5, we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. Now before we start that, I want to show you how I change my colors here so that I have a minimal sort of visible jog. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in the back loop of this next stitch. So this doesn't count as a stitch for this round. It's just kind of a way to even out the color change. So make sure you're not working into that in the next round, and I'll remind you. And then we're going to place our first single crochet of this round into the full stitch. So the front loop kind of hid here at the front. We're going to go under that and through the back loop that we had just worked in, and then do your single crochet stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest of this round off camera. You're going to single crochet in each of the next 23 stitches. So there's 24 altogether. We already did 1. So go in the next 23 stitches, and I'll meet you back here for the beginning of round 6. Okay, so here we are at the beginning of round 7. Now what you want to do before you start that is just tie the end of your white and beginning of your blue or whatever colors you're using together to secure them. And then I'm going to show you how to deal with this little jog piece. So this piece right here, this is that slip stitch that we did to even out the round. So you want to just ignore that and continue by working in this stitch here. And if you're unsure which stitch it is, count backwards from here until you have 24, and that'll show you if you're working in the correct stitch or not. So round 6, we're going to start making the fins and the tail. And to do that, we're going to be working in the front loop of the stitches. So we kind of played on that here when we did our color change. And we worked in the back loop first. So back loop here, front loop here. There it is, front loop here. So then As we're working these fins, we're going to be working the fins into the front loop of some of the stitches. And then when we come back in the next round, we'll work in the back loop of the stitch so that we don't have to sew on anything after. And I will walk you through that step by step, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're doing here, what our goal is. So to begin round 6, we are going to just single crochet in the next stitch. And again, you want to skip over that slip stitch if that's how you did your color change. And we're going to single crochet here. And then we're going to go right into making one of the fins. So to do that, we want to isolate that front loop of the stitch and slip stitch. And then what we want to do is we're going to chain 2, double crochet. This is all happening in the same front loop. And then chain 2 and slip stitch, again in the same front loop. There we go, we made our little fin. So we'll push that to the front here. It automatically goes to the front anyway since we worked in the front loop. So push that to the front. And then what you want to do is you want to single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. And 10, okay, and then we're going to make another fin. So go into your front loop again, slip stitch, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch. And again, all of that was done in that same front loop. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, and then these next 2 stitches, this is where we're going to place our tail. So the tail's worked the same way as the fins, but we're going to work in the front loop of the next stitch. So working in that front loop, you want to slip stitch, chain 3, do 2 treble or triple crochets. So that's yarning over twice, inserting your hook into that same front loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So it makes a nice tall stitch. We're going to go ahead and do that one more time to make another treble or triple crochet. Okay. And then we're going to chain 3 and slip stitch. And again, all of that was done in the same front loop. Okay, to make the other part of the tail, we're going to go over to our next stitch and just in the front loop and go ahead and slip stitch again, then chain 3, and you want to do 2 triple or treble crochets, chain 3, then slip stitch into that front loop, and then we're going to single crochet in the last 4 stitches. So at the end of this round, you're going to have 20 stitches plus the 4 back loops. So you're going to have 1 back loop for each of these side fins and 2 back loops to work into for these tail pieces. Okay, so on to round 7. And round 7, we are just going to single crochet in each stitch. So we'll crochet in the regular stitches, we'll crochet in the back loop stitches as well, and we will begin and end with 24 stitches. So start by single crocheting in your next stitch, and then single crochet in the back loop of the next stitch. So you can find it back here. It's usually hanging out pretty far down because it gets kind of pulled. That single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Make sure that your slip stitch here doesn't get caught up as a stitch and you're working in the actual next stitch. And if you're having trouble with that, you can go ahead and mark the stitches out while you're getting used to this. Like use stitch markers. And then once you've had some practice, you won't need them. So that's 1. We need 9 more. Okay, and then again, you're gonna go in and find the back loop here. So I don't know if you can see that there, but it's kind of just hanging out back there. Okay, then single crochet in the next 5 stitches. Then we're gonna single crochet in the back loop of each of the next 2 stitches. And we'll end by single crocheting in the last 4 stitches. On to round 8. So rounds 8, 9, and 10, they are all single crochet rounds. So you're going to just single crochet in each stitch for the next 3 rounds. I'm going to do them off camera, and when I come back, we will add in our eyes. So again, rounds 8, 9, and 10, you're going to single crochet in each stitch around. So here I am at the end of round 10. So I completed rounds 8, 9, and 10 by single crocheting in each stitch around. And next we want to place our safety eyes in. So we want to place our safety eyes on round 7, about 6 to 7 stitches apart. So I like to place them first before I add in the backs. So count from the center here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the round we want to place them on. I'm just sort of guessing right now where this one's going to go. And then I'm going to count over 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And see where that lands. So then I want to check and see if those look even based on where my fins are, and they do actually look nice and even. So normally I would just put the backs on. I want to just show you though, if these aren't even with your fins, then go ahead and move one to the left and then move the second one to the left. So you keep your eyes 6 stitches apart, but you can tell whether they're centered or not. So that's my little trick for keeping them in the right place. All right, so those are back to where they're supposed to be. I'm gonna attach the backs on here. You can secure the back of your safety eyes however you'd like. If you're not using safety eyes, I would recommend marking these spots with stitch markers so that you know where the eyes will go once you're embroidering them on. Yeah, so you can just stick a stitch marker right in the right spot and then use that as a guide later on. All right, now that these eyes are on here, we are going to start round 11. So in the instructions, it does say that you can begin stuffing your animal. I think I'm gonna wait a little bit longer here until I've got more of a top closed in before I start to stuff. But you can do it whichever way you prefer. For round 11, we are going to do a decrease round. So we're gonna go from having 24 stitches down to 18 stitches. And to do that, we want to single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. And we'll repeat that 6 times around. So again, single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then do a single crochet decrease. So I'm doing an invisible decrease, which means I'm using the front loops of both stitches and crocheting those together. If you want more details on that, I do have a video that shows it and I will link it below. And again, we want to single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then do another decrease. And we are repeating that all the way around 6 times in total. Okay, on to round 12. So in round 12, we're also going to decrease and we're going to go from having 18 stitches down to 12 stitches. And to do that, we want to single crochet in the next stitch and then do a single crochet decrease after that. We're going to repeat that 6 times around. So again, 18 stitches down to 12, single crochet decrease, and repeat around. So now I'm going to add my stuffing. So you don't need very much because these are pretty small. Just want to make sure you get it into all the crevices. There aren't a lot of little crevices with this little guy, but usually I would say to add extra stuffing to where all the increases are, just to help shape the animal. But this is a pretty straightforward one. Okay, and I don't normally fill it up all the way, but what I am doing is making sure that I go under the, see how there's a little lip here from decreasing? What you want to make sure is you don't end up with a flat animal like this. You want to make sure that you add stuffing under this sort of ledge here. And you can do a bit more of that after you complete the next round, unless you're using a thinner yarn, and then you might have difficulty getting into the top. I'm gonna end there for right now. And then I'm gonna do round 12. So round 12 is also a decrease round, and we're gonna go from having there 12 stitches down to 6 stitches. So to do that, we are going to decrease all the way around. You want to keep these stitches nice and tight. I do recommend the invisible decrease. Okay, and on your last decrease, you want to pull through the white color on the last pull through of that stitch, as we still need to make our little fountain coming out the top. So grab your white yarn or whatever color you want to use and pull through to finish with that. And then we're going to end off here with our main color. And I'm going to tie up these colors right away just because it'll get tricky to get into the middle here after the fountain has been crocheted. So this, and then you want to go ahead, I'm going to use the other end of my needle, kind of throw that in there, out of the way. There we go. And then to start round 13, we're going to crochet in the front loop of each stitch around. So the reason we're doing that is so we can create our fountain, but then also use the inside, the back loops, to cinch up the remaining stitches. So this is a good time to add in any extra stuffing that you want to have, just because once the fountain is on there, I find it a little bit trickier to get into the center here. I like to use the end of my crochet hook for this. That's one of the reasons these are my favorite hooks. They're the Clover Amour hooks. Okay, so that'll be okay. Okay, so to begin round 13, we want to slip stitch in the front loop of our next stitch, slip stitch in the front loop of the stitch after that, and then we're going to chain 6, and then slip stitch in the front of the next 2 stitches. The front loop of the next 2 stitches, sorry. Okay, and then chain 6. And slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. And then you're going to chain 6. And slip stitch to the first stitch to join. Okay, and then you want to leave about a 6-inch tail here, and we're going to use that to cinch up the center of this little fountain. We're just going to push our white into here, and then you want to pick up, as best you can, the back loop stitches that are in there. It doesn't need to be perfect, because it'll all be hidden once you cinch it together. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that a little bit and end off there because my hole is closed. And then that through. What I like to do is sort of pop that down. If I can pull it out the same color, and just push it back one round over. That just helps the ends to not pop out. Okay, so there is our little whale. Now, if you wanted, you could add the little eye details, you can add a little mouth on there, and I've got a video that you can go ahead and watch, linked below, that'll show you how to do all of that as well. But there we go, there's our jelly bean whale. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye for now.